The Meraglim were all Anashim Chashuvim Moed. They were very important people. How do I know that? Because it says so in the Pasuk. Vayishlach osa Moshe BaMidbar paran al pi Hashem. Kulam Anashim Roshei b'nei Yisrael hema. They were all Anashim Roshei b'nei Yisrael. These were the heads of the Dor Deah.
Yeah.
The heads of the generation of the Midbar. Rashi says, Kulam Anashim, Kol Anashim Shebamikra Lashon Chashivus. Every time it says Anashim in the Torah, it signifies that they're important people. Chashuvim, Chashivus, they're important. They were the heads of the Bnei Yisrael. Says Rashi, what do you mean? As we know that, look at the outcome of the story.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. At that point in time, at that time, they were kosher. They were righteous people. The Ramban even goes further. The Ramban says that the order of the names of the people were not the same order of Yehuda and then Reuven and Shimon, not the same order of the traveling camps, but rather they were the order of the chashivas of the people. The more important were first, and the least important out of the 12 here were last. So let's just review. There was Shamua ben Zakur, Shafa ben Chori, Kalev, we know Kalev, Yigal ben Yosef, Hushea ben Nun, Palti ben Rafu, etc., etc. So we have two familiar names in those names. One was Kalev and one was Yeshua. So Kalev ranked number 3, and Yeshua ranked number 5. Now Yeshua was the leader of Klal Yisrael, the next after Moshe, and yet out of all these people he was only number 5. That means these people were Anashim Chashuvim Ad Me'oid.
All stars.
But not the same, Roshei, Matot that we saw earlier.
It's true, but these guys were Chashuv. What happened to them?
Yeah.
What happened to them? They were Ksherim, they were Anashim, there was Chashivus, and the Dor Deah, the Dor Mekabla Torah. What happened? How did this Yerida take place? Let's try to understand. The Gemara says, not only were the Meraglim Motzi Diba, not only did they say Lashon Hara on the land of Eretz Yisrael, but they even spoke Kaviyachol against Hashem. They even spoke against Hashem.
Turn back to the mitzvah.
Says the Gemara. How does the Gemara know they spoke against Hashem? Because they said in the pasuk, Ki chazak hu mimenu. What does Ki chazak hu mimenu mean? Mimenu? What's mimenu? From us? What does mimenu mean? Mimenu. Kaviyachol kape mala amru. Kaviyachol against Hashem, they said. Kape mala. So not only were nishal in the Aveira of Lashon Hara against Eretz Yisrael, but they spoke against Hashem. How's it possible? How did they sink to such a low madrega so fast after Matan Torah? I'm going to tell you something, Agav. I'm going to interrupt myself. I heard this week from Rabbi Hirschman, who's the Rosh HaKolel in Toronto, one of the Rosh HaKolel, an amazing vart. I just saw it now as I was gazing through the Psukim. It says, the Meraglim say, V'shom ra'inu es hanafilim b'nei anak. Over there we saw the giants, right? B'nei hanafilim. V'nihi be'einenu kachagavim. And we were in our eyes like grasshoppers. V'chein hayinu be'eineihem. and so we were in their eyes. Says Rashi, V'chein hayinu be'einayim, Shemanu oimrim zeh lezeh. We heard one of them telling another one, Nimolim yesh bekerem ka'anoshim. There are ants in the kerem, in the vineyard, that look like human beings. Compared to these giants, these meraglim look like ants. So he says, you could read Rashi, you go through life, read this Rashi a million times. If you learn the Gemara in Saita, you read it, you'll learn it even more times. You ever heard this Rashi before? Yeah, they were talking about this.
Sure.
And it won't bother you the most obvious question. What's the most obvious question on Rashi? The pasuk doesn't say that they were like ants in their eyes.
Right.
It says they were like chagavim, like grasshoppers.
Right.
What's this Shamanu Shalom, and where do the ants come in?
Because they have been in the woods and trees, and the trees was grasshopper. And they were compared, it's not from them. Comparison wasn't for them. The one of the shots.
The what?
The grasshopper was in the trees because he was climbing the trees.
Okay.
And the grasshopper was in the trees. As they speak about the grasshopper was in the trees. No about this comparison to the human, to the Malagri.
Okay. I'm here. So it says like this. Throughout the generations, Kol Zaman, so as long as we were proud to be Jews, and we didn't assimilate with the Goyim, and we didn't dress like them, and we didn't behave like them, and we didn't want to be like them, we commanded respect from them. If you take a historical perspective, you'll see that when did the Goyim start to discard us, dirty Jews, all these kinds of names that you hear? When did we become pochus in their eyes? When did we become small and nidrik? That was when we tried to be like them. And that's true throughout the generations. So he says, "V'nehi be'einenu kechagavim." We were in our own eyes like chagavim. We lowered ourselves in our own eyes. Then, v'chein hayinu be'eineihem, like namolim. It's because we became in their eyes even like ants. Once we lowered ourselves to the madrega of chagavim, then they lower us to the madrega of ants, because they view us like chagavim, because we're saying that we're chagavim. Where is it, Gavar?
Wow.
Let's get back on track. Let's come and try to understand what's going on over here with the Chedim Meraglim. We have a couple of questions. First of all, Rashi Ramban portrays them as chashuvim, anoshim. How did they sink? The Gemara says that they were kofer be'ikr. How's that possible?
Yeah.
The Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Dalet says, Oisei Laila Leil Tisha B'Av Haisa. The night that the Meraglim said that Motzi Dibas Aretz was Leil Tisha B'Av. Amar Lei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. Excuse me. God says to the Jewish people, Atem b'chitem v'yivku ha'am b'layla hu oso layla leil Tisha B'Av haisa Atem b'chisem b'chiyas shel china. You cried
For nothing.
for tears for free. Ani ekva lachem b'chiyah l'doros. I'm going to instill a b'chiyah l'doros. How is the b'chiyah l'doros a midah keneged midah? You cried, so you cried. You're going to cry then, so you're going to cry again. I mean, the crying is so agav, so side. We know that Hashem punishes midah keneged midah. How is the punishment of crying for generations? How is the punishment of taking away the Beis HaMikdash midah keneged midah of the Chedim Meraglim? What does one have to do with the other? The Gemara also says Amar Rabba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. B'shvil ma hiktim pei la'ayin. Why in Megillas Eicha? If you go through the letters, you'll see, right, it goes through the letters of the Aleph Beis Yirmiyahu wrote, Eicha Yasha Badad, right, B'choy Sivke V'layla, etc., etc., Aleph Beis Gimel. Then Pei comes before Ayin, and even though in the Aleph Beis Ayin comes before Pei, it was changed around in Megillas Eicha. Says the Gemara.
This is a famous Gemara.
Bishvil hameraglim sha'amru b'fiem ma shaloi ra'a be'eineihem. Because the meraglim said something with their peh, ma shaloi amru be'einei, ma shaloi ra'u be'eineihem. Something that they didn't see in their eyes. So they were makdim their peh to their ayin. So in Megillas Eicha, the peh comes before the ayin. That's what the Gemara says. The implication of that Gemara is that the Meraglim lied. The Meraglim did not lie. Now we all know the halachas of Lashon Hara is that you're not allowed to say Lashon Hara even if it's true.
Yes.
Right? That's Lashon Hara. Not my Tishema, it's Lashon Hara. It's true. So they still made an Aveira. But they didn't lie. The Gemara explains how big the grapes were and how big the fruits were, and it was all true. They weren't exaggerating.
No, they weren't.
So what does it mean? Hikdim peh la'ayin. That they were makdim. Their peh to their ayin. The implication is they're saying something which they didn't see. What does that mean? In the Gevaldige Sefer Mayan Beis Shayeva. Before I get to Mayan Beis Shayeva.
Reb Schwab.
Yeah, before we get there. It's really his question coming up. And he asks, in the beginning of the Parsha, Rashi comments, Lama nismecha Parshas Meraglim la Parshas Miriam. Why was Parshas Meraglim right after Parshas Miriam? And for Rashi answers, she spoke badly about her brother Moshe Rabbeinu. They saw Ra'u, they saw V'loi lachu musar, but they didn't take rebuke. They didn't understand. They saw, but they didn't understand.
Well, they didn't internalize it.
They didn't take musar.
Yeah.
They didn't internalize it. Schwab says that, what does it mean? They saw and they didn't understand. Everybody knows. I mean, Miriam wouldn't have been punished for speaking Lashon Hara if she thought Lashon Hara was acceptable. Obviously, they knew Lashon Hara was not acceptable, right? And that's why Miriam was punished. So, what do you mean they saw Miriam and they didn't? What did Miriam teach them that the regular halachas of Lashon Hara don't teach you? What is Munach in the Ma'aseh Miriam? What lies within the Ma'aseh Miriam that they should have learned that they didn't learn? Lashon Hara, everybody knows you can't speak Lashon Hara. And what does it mean? Ro'u v'lo lachu musar. Let's try to understand. Schwab says like this, Yesod. And really, I'm going to mix in the commentaries of a few different Pirushim here. So I'm not 100% sure what I saw where. This is a combination of the Maharal, Rav Moshe Shapiro, and Rav Schwab, primarily. They all say the same word here. And that is like this. A person who sees has a perspective. What do I mean when I say that? You will always see something according to your own bias. When you see an action in front of you, If you train your mind to always assume that people do the wrong thing, you will see something wrong in the action of your friend. If you train yourself to always judge someone l'kavsos, you won't see anything wrong. You'll see something only right. It's very possible that two people could see the exact same thing and come out with two completely different explanations of what happened.
Yeah.
For example, somebody who's never seen chopsticks and sees somebody eat sushi is going to say, why are you eating with sticks? Why don't you eat with a fork and knife? Right? Somebody who's from Japan sees eating from chopsticks is going to see they're eating with cutlery. That's the cutlery. Is it cutlery or is it a stick? Two people can be looking at the exact same rock. One person will see a rock and one person will see Kedusha. What do I mean? The Medrash Rabbah says as follows. When Abraham was going towards the Akedah with Yitzchak and he was coming with Yishmael, his Narav, and Eliezer, V'yar es hamakom merachok. They saw the place from a distance. Mara, asked the Medrash, what did they see? Ra'a anan kasher al hahar. They saw a cloud, the anan, kasher, tied onto the mountain. Amar, says Avraham Avinu, I think that's the place that Hashem wants us to go. There's a cloud on it. There's something spiritual there. Hara Maria. Says to his son, Amar li Yitzchak b'ni roya es masha ani roya. Do you see what I see? Amar li, hey, I do see. They saw the place. What does it mean? They saw the place. They saw that this was the place to go. Amar li shnei na'arav. He says to the two lads, Yishmael, Eliezer, Royim atem masha ani roa. Do you guys see what I see? Amru loy loy. We don't see anything. Amar hoyul v'chamor eino roa. A donkey doesn't see. V'atem ein atem omrim. And you don't say that you don't see it either. Shvu lachem po im hachamor. Stay here with the donkey. As I state in Medrash, Yitzchak, Avraham Avinu, when they look at a mountain, they see Kedusha. Yishmael, Eliezer, and the donkey. When they look at something, they see it for what it is. They don't see the meaning. They don't see the depth behind it. When a person trains his eyes, trains his mind to see the beauty, he can see Hashem in a rock. Every rock can be Hashem. After all, it is a Chelek Elokai Mimal too. It's all part of the big, that concept called the Rabbanu Shalom. Yet, a guy sees a rock because he is a rock. So he sees a rock. We have a neshama, right, so we see Hashem. Donkeys see rocks. The Maharal in Netzach Yisrael says the same idea. Netzach Yisrael is a sefer on Churban Abayis, Tisha B'Av. It says, Thou shall know, Ki ha'ayin hu haschala. The eye is the starting point. First somebody has to see, then he can do. And just like the ayin is the haschala, is the beginning, is the starting point, the peh is the goymer, the mouth is the ending point. The eye is the starting point, The peh is the ending point, because the peh brings something into fruition and brings something into, it takes an idea, a potential, a brainstorm, and makes it concrete, defines it with words. My Rebbe once told me that many of the Gedolim, he might have said which Gedolim, but I don't remember, were against teaching visually. You know, today you have like all these visual
smart boards,
PowerPoints, whatever. He says that my Rebbe told me that there were Gedolim, many of the smart Balei Chinuch were against visual teaching. Why? Because even a word, while it is defined as a word, but can generate a million different pictures in your imagination. A picture doesn't generate a million words.
No.
One word can generate a million pictures. When you solidify it, when you make it physical, the more chamor, the more you create it, the more you bring it into the physical world, the less it means. You're detracting from the meaning of Torah. Right? Maybe math you can teach on the board, but Torah should be taught, because Torah has to be left to your mind, because it's infinite. It can't be defined. If you're defining it, then you're minimizing it. The same idea, right? When something's a machshava, it's ruchni. When it becomes a word, it's gashmi, somewhat. When a person starts with the eye and finishes with the mouth, that's a healthy person. He sees something, he understands it, then he speaks. But we all know people that speak before they see. And they're mahapich things. They turn things around, because if you speak before you see, you're going to be saying something that might not be accurate. What do I mean? The Maral says that the ayin is davik to the seichel. It's attached to the brain, the eye. So when you see something, it gets processed by the brain. If you take that thing which you've seen and you've processed, and then you make it concrete into word, you were hikdim ayin lepeh, then you're describing something that you've seen and understood. But if you speak before you process, then you're being maktim peh la'ayin. And you're not being mistabik, you're not attaching that re'iyah into seichel, which is dveikus b'Hashem. You're not taking that re'iyah and processing it properly. Rav Moshe Shapiro explains it a little different. He says, the chush, the sense called sight, is like, it's almost like a video, right? You don't see something that's still. What a person sees, he sees movement. When you see something, you see an episode, right? Even if everything's still, you walk into a still room, what you see, you understand something. Oh, this is a shul. Like, you see something, and then it becomes an understanding. He says that chush hari'iyah hu inin tziruf shel pratim boidedim. L'tmuna klos. It's like seeing individual pictures and combining it into one big video. That's the power of sight. That's what sight does. Other kinds of senses like touch and even listening doesn't help you create a picture. It helps you understand something that is. Sight gives you an appreciation of the depth of what's going on. Sight is in, just like it is in the Gashmi, it is in the Ruchmi. Sight, ayin. What kind of words come from ayin? Iyun.
Depth.
What does iyun mean?
Seems in depth.
To understand, in depth, right? When a person says, when the Gemara says, the Rishonim or whatever says, Nira li. Nira li.
It appears to me.
It appears to me. What does that mean?
The way
I see it.
This is the way I see it.
But what does that mean? The way I see it.
Intellectually.
The way I see it. It's not.
Intellectually.
What do you mean? It's everybody sees the same thing, right? I see what you see. It's the way you see it. It's the perspective. It's the seeing of the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an expression. I hear.
I hear you.
I hear. What does that mean?
I'm intellectually hearing.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It's not correct. I see. I see. Instead of saying I hear, you're supposed to say I see. I see. I see. Because I see means I understand. Ma'ayan. What is a ma'ayan?
A well.
A well.
A spring.
Because a well takes water from the root.
From the depths.
From the depths. And so is the word ayin. The eye. Because that's what it does. It sees, it understands, it processes, it puts together a picture. Peh. What is a peh? A peh takes something that's inside and brings it out. The Gemara says, Gemara brings Gemara in Chulin, Stam oived kochavim mifapoi. Oh, your average guy. Mif'apai. What does that mean? Speaks a lot. What does it mean? Your average guy speaks a lot. It doesn't say your average woman speaks a lot, but it says your average guy speaks a lot. Why? Because, what does that mean? There's some people that speak a lot too. What does it mean? It means because they're chamor, they're choymer, they're physical. What you see is what you get. Everything's external. Everything's viewed not from the depth of what it actually is, but rather from what it appears to be in plain vision.
So we're saying peh, how we get that? Because peh is what?
Because peh is moitzi, something that's internal, and makes it external.
Okay, so it's megala.
It's megala. It reveals.
Yeah.
Right? It opens up. It takes away the idea of a panemius. Right? That's what we say when we talk about sneas.
Yeah.
The more covered up you are, the more depth you have. The more open you are, then that's all you have. You've opened everything up that you are. That's all you are. Just that piece of meat. If you're covered, that means there's something inside of you. When a person is makdim pelayin, it means that when he looks at something, he doesn't understand. He can't pierce through it. He can't see the kedusha inside. He sees you eating sushi with 2 sticks. He sees a rock. He sees a mountain. When a person is makdim ayin lepeh, he processes. He's mistabek. He attaches his seichel into the re'iyah. He sees an entire picture. The oynish of the meraglim, the punishment of the meraglim, was that their tongues Their tongues came out and went into their stomach, and some tolaim came, whatever. I don't know exactly what happened there. And we all say, yeah, Mida Keneged Mida, because they spoke Lashon Hara. But it's much deeper than that. They were makdim Peh La'ayin. The Meraglim were makdim Peh La'ayin. That's what the Gemara says. Why does Eicha pay before Ayin? Because the Meraglim were makdim Peh La'ayin. When they looked at Eretz Yisrael, what did they see? They saw just the truth. Just the physical truth of what it was. Big fruit, lots of giants. Eretz Oicheles Yoshveahi. Efes Ki Az Ha'am. They saw things as they were. Chamor, Yishmael, Stam Akl Mifapai. That was their Avera. What should they have seen in Eretz Yisrael? They should have seen brilliance, Kedusha, an opportunity for Avodas Hashem. Eretz she'enei Hashem Elokecha ba mireishis hashana ad achri shana. That's all spiritual. That needs to be processed. You need to be mistabrik before you can come to such a realization. They spoke too soon. They didn't think. They just spoke. Rav Schwab says, what was the chait of Miriam? Who was the chait of Miriam? Who was the chait of Meraglim? Since when is there an Aveira to speak Lashon Hara about rocks and earth? When did that come in? And so the Meraglim Tainid. Who let us say Lashon Hara about the land? Who says this? Lashon Hara is Bein Adam L'Chaveiroi. Lashon Hara is hurting a fellow Jew. If you don't hurt the Jew, you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara. Says Rosh Schwab, a brilliant chap. Miriam spoke Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, the pasuk says immediately after Miriam spoke Lashon Hara about him, V'ha'ish Moshe anav mi'oid mikol ha'adam asher al pnei adama. He couldn't care less of Miriam. Miriam's of course right. It didn't impact. It didn't hurt his feelings. Of course you're right, Miriam. I shouldn't have separated. It didn't hurt his feelings. You think it hurt him?
No.
And Miriam knew that. So Miriam, perhaps, he suggests, might have thought that, okay, it's mutter to say Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. It doesn't hurt him. It's not bad. I still love him. I didn't say, Chiddush is, when you're speaking Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu, what are you actually saying? Look beyond it. That's why the psukim over there, right? What are you saying exactly? Hashem says, listen up. V'yomer Shimuna. What's this whole arichas lashon over here? Right, and this is because I wasn't here last week. V'yomer Shimuna dvarai. Listen to me. Im yen v'yachem Hashem b'mara ilav esvada b'chaloim adaber ba. If regular prophets, I speak to them in dreams. Loi kein avdi Moshe b'chol beisi nemanhu. So with the Pashup shot, the simple meaning of the Psukim, he's explaining why Moshe Rabbeinu had to separate from his wife and you didn't have to separate from your husband. Right? That's the simple meaning. But what's the whole stress? Other Nevi'im I do, Moshe Beis Yineman, Pel Daber Moshe, Lechidus Moshe, Yabim Madua Lo Yiretzim L'Daber Ba'avdi B'Moshe. When you speak against Moshe, who are you speaking against?
My servant. Avdi
Moshe. Yeah. You're speaking against the Kedusha that he represents. You're speaking against the Pnimius called Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeah, Avada Moshe Rabbeinu is above being hurt by your word. That's for sure true. He loved you just as much. You're not hurting him. It's not Bein Adam L'Chaveiroi. You're speaking against the Shechina Kaviyachol. Pel Daber boy, Avdi Moshe. Yeah. What was the chait of the Meraglim? U'aman ismicha parshas Meraglim parshas Miriam. Lefi Shelach saliskei diba shedibra ba'achea. She spoke about her brother. V'rishayim halolu ro. These Rishayim they saw. V'loy lachu musar. What do you mean they didn't take musar? They didn't take musar because they should have learned from Miriam that even though they're speaking Lashon Hara against rocks and stones, you're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara against rocks and stones, because what are you actually saying? You're speaking against the Kedusha that's in the stone, the Kedusha that's in the rocks, the Kedusha that's in the dirt, the Kedusha that lies within the greatness of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Rishayim halolu, ro, they saw, they did see. V'loy lakhu musar, they saw superficially. They didn't take musar. They did right. They didn't process it. They weren't mistabik into it. They didn't think when they looked at the land how beautiful it is and how great the greatness of Hashem and what the opportunities of ruchnius one can have while living here. That was their avera. Hiktim ayin lepah. Hiktim ayin lepah. They acted, they spoke without being misboning, without seeing. Hiktim pela ayin. They acted like goyim, like chamorim. So the hiktim pela ayin doesn't mean that they lied. It doesn't mean they lied, right? They said something they didn't see. They saw it, but they said something that they didn't see. They weren't roya. There was no iyun. They didn't see what the land represents. Right. That's what it means when the Gemara says that the Meraglim, like chazak mimenu, kaviyachol. What's kaviyachol? Did they or didn't they? Kaviyachol. No, they didn't. They didn't speak against Hashem. They spoke without seeing it through. Ki'ilu hamidavud. Why did they speak against the Shekhinah? Because it doesn't mean anything to speak against rocks. When you speak against that rock, you're speaking against Hashem. Vatisa kol ha'ida, vayitnu es kolam, vayifku ha'am v'layla hahu, atem b'chisem b'chiyah shel chinam, v'ani ekva lachem b'chiyah l'doros. What does this mean? When a person sees, it means that he's mistabik. He sees clearly. His eye pierces through what he's looking at and sees godliness. When a person cries, he can't see. His eyes are cloudy. Or cloudy. When he cries, he can't see. Crying represents confusion. Right? What is the word tear? What is it in Hebrew?
Dima.
Dema. Dma'ot. What does it mean when you mix truma with chulin? What is that called? Miduma. Mem dalid vav mem ayin. Right? Miduma. That's the Mishnah's word for when there's a mixture of truma and something else. Because dema means to mix. It means to mix up. It means to confuse. We don't know what's going on here. When the Gemara says you cried tears for free and I'll make you cry, it wasn't, oh, cry, like Zera Shava, right? That wasn't what it was. You cried, you shouldn't have cried. It was mamish mida k'neged mida. You cried because you were confused, because you didn't see, because you didn't understand, because you didn't see the picture together. You didn't process, so you cried. Ani ekva lechem b'chia l'doros. I will make sure that you don't see. I will make sure that you can't see clearly. When there's no Beis HaMikdash, you can't see clearly. We have no idea where we're going. Hikdimu Pel Ayin. Now we have no choice but to be Maktim Pel Ayin. Because we don't, that's Eicha. We're lamenting that now the whole matzav is Pel Ayin. We can't see. We're just constantly crying. Ani ekva lachem b'chia l'doiris. The whole idea of a Beis HaMikdash is to be mistabek, that everything that happens on this world, every act that we do, a carbon or anything else, is kol kulei l'Hashem, is to bring the Gashmi into a Beis Ruchni. A churban habayis is bechi, it's confusion. We can't see anymore. There's no dveikus. We've become like chamoirim. We see things in their physical sense. We're not in Eretz Yisrael. We're in Golus. We're confused. It's true that the Meraglim were Anashim Chashuvim. But even Anashim Chashuvim, when you're maktin peh la'ayin, when you don't see things clearly, when you don't see the Rebbeinu Shalom in every act, in every object, and you end up saying things that you shouldn't have said. What can we learn from the Chet of the Meraglim? We must be mizbonin as best as we can. Yeah, we live in the Golus. Yeah, we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. Yeah, the Rebbeinu Shalom is koveya bechia, confusion l'doros. Because we have to try our best. Nevertheless, we have to be like Avram and Yitzchak. We have to see the greatness in the rock. When we see someone eating sushi, they're not using sticks. It's beautiful cutlery.
Not stick with the sticks, right?
Yeah. We have to see the pnimi, the depth, and we have to appreciate it. Let us not talk before we fully understand. Because if we talk before we fully understand, we're bound to get in trouble. Let us learn that Lashon Hara is not only on people. In fact, even if the person doesn't mind, or might be moichel, but it's Lashon Hara is on what that person represents, a cheluk elokai mimal. You wouldn't want to speak Lashon Hara on the Rebbeinu Shalom, Kaviyachal. So if this fellow is a cheluk elokai mimal, how could you speak Lashon Hara on him? If we keep these lessons in mind, then we can learn from the Chet of the Meraglim. And then we can tell the Rebbeinu Shalom, Rebbeinu Shalom, we've cried for too long. The confusion has been with us for more than 2,000 years, and then some. Let us daven. The Rebbeinu Shalom allows us to use our ayin for iyun, to get to the root of the mayan. With the binyan Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi and the Biash Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mheira V'yameinu.